At first, I only remember the blurry ultrasound image. In the picture, two fetuses curled up together, dependent on each other, as if they were born together. But the picture suddenly changed. One of the movements became intense, as if attacking the other. I still remember that eerie sense of unease, which was not a dream, but like a premonition. My name is Maria, and I'm 17 years old. I go to school like everyone else, with parents and a home, but my life is far from perfect. In fact, it's as cold as an ice cellar. Every morning, I look in the mirror and wash up, barely picking up some sense of existence, ready to go to that place where I have no sense of belonging, school. At the breakfast table, my parents were silent. The air was as solid as glass, shattering with a touch. I hurriedly took a few bites and ran out of the house. As soon as I walked out, I lit a cigarette as if igniting my remaining resistance. Then I met her. The girl who was always mean to me. Her sarcasm had made me numb. School was another cold world. I was an outsider, and no one cared about me. When I was driving, those people started making fun of me again, and they didn't even bother to hide their malice. In this lonely island, I had someone who could barely be called a friend, Lily. She never really looked at me. I was just a supporting role to pass the time. Lily is very popular and has a boyfriend, Sean, and I have been secretly in love with him for a long time. Every time I see her throwing herself into his arms, my heart shrinks into a ball. I envy her carefree life and her love. Returning home in the evening, the cold dining table greeted me again. Dad is silent and always buried in work. He is a plastic surgeon who pursues perfection, and he is no exception to me. While Mom, she lives between nightmares and depression, as if she is always avoiding something. As for Dad, everyone knows he has someone else outside, but Mom pretends nothing has happened. That night, she started mentioning the dance party and wanted to introduce me to a boy. I refused, but she didn't give up. Dad intervened, and I felt surrounded. I erupted, yelling out the anger that had been suppressed for a long time, and then rushed back to the room. But they didn't care who I was. They only cared about how I looked and whether I was normal. In front of the mirror, I found an old ultrasound image. 2 babies. Is it me? I have twins? No one mentioned it. But what happened next was the real beginning that made me collapse. The me in the mirror moved. It wasn't me who was moving, it was her, another me. In the mirror, she smiled at me, that smile, strange and eerie. I fell to the ground, unable to believe my eyes. But her existence became more and more real, and she started talking to me. She called herself Aram. She said she has always been there, in every mirror, accompanying me. She looks exactly like me, but she is different. She is confident, cold, dangerous, but also charming. The next morning, my head was still ringing. I wanted to talk to my dad and try to get him to say something and listen to me. But when he saw me, the first thing he said was, "You look terrible. Don't go to school. Go back and touch up your makeup." He didn't even look at me. I swallowed all my words and silently returned to the bathroom. In the mirror, Aram, followed me like a shadow. Her movements were half a beat faster than mine, as if mocking my dullness. But I pretended everything was normal, brushed my hair, put on light makeup, and went to school. That day, Mark, the boy who liked to bully me the most, was still there, standing by the school bus laughing so hard that it made people feel creepy. But Lily suddenly appeared in a new car and invited me to get in. I knew she just wanted to show off. She always likes to show me how successful she is, and the boyfriend she never cherished, Sean. I sat in the back seat of the car, watching them flirt in the front row, as if I were air. Upon arriving at school, I met Mark again. He deliberately made me fall and made fun of me in front of everyone. But this time, Sean intervened. He stood in front of me and argued with Mark. A strange emotion surged in my heart, the feeling of being protected. I liked that feeling, and even more so, I liked it because he brought it to me. After returning home from school, I heard the familiar voice calling me again. I followed the voice into the bathroom, and Aram appeared again. She was no longer just a shadow in the mirror. She began to speak, began to become a part of my heart. She said she has never left me. She is my true shadow. She is bold, tempting, and dangerous, everything I dare not become. But she said she can help me become strong, and help me not get hurt again. I don't know how to answer her, but I admit that I am attracted to her. I asked her, "You look really good." She just smiled and said, "It's not me, it's us who looks good." That night, I slept surprisingly soundly. The next day, I appeared at the breakfast table like a different person. Mom and Dad noticed. Dad even praised me for looking like a person. I told them I was going to the winter dance. They were amazed. I started trying to fit in with the school and took the initiative to talk to Lily and Sean. I even asked Lily to teach me how to skate. They all said I had changed. I think indeed I have become a bit like Aram. Later, I accompanied my father to his clinic where he was having surgery. I saw his lover walking out of his office, and at that moment, my heart was in turmoil. But I pretended not to see it. We went to see a movie together, and the atmosphere was awkward, but I tried to repair this long-broken father-daughter relationship. After watching the movie, we ran into Mark. He actually pretended that we were friends, and I was so disgusted that I couldn't speak. And Dad, he actually thought I was embarrassing. On the way home, he told me that he wanted to give me a birthday present. I thought it would be a sincere gesture, but the next day, he told me that he was going to give me plastic surgery. He thought that only then would I deserve a better life. I almost broke down at that moment. I ran back to the room, rushed to the mirror, and begged Aram to talk to me. She appeared and angrily said, "They don't deserve you." She comforted me, hugged me, and I began to rely on her. I knew it was dangerous, but she was the only one who didn't lie to me or despise me. Later, my mother began to notice my strangeness. I became more emotional and unstable. My father just impatiently told her, "Don't worry about her." At school, I fell during skating class. Lily stood next to me, laughing, and turned to leave. I lay alone on the ice, my dignity shattered into ice. I remember Aram saying, "You deserve to be loved." I cried, crying until I trembled. But the nightmare has just begun. On the night of the dance, I wanted to try to have a good night, but Mark took advantage of the chaos and dragged me away. He attacked me. I trembled all over, as if falling into a bottomless abyss. I fled into the bathroom, and Aram was looking at me in the mirror. I pressed my hand against the mirror and begged her to take me away. Then, we exchanged positions. I became the silent shadow in the mirror, and she stood outside, taking over my body. At that moment, I retreated to the other side of the mirror, as if being sucked into the depths of the glass, and Aram, she replaced me. She stood inside my body, as natural as putting on a new piece of clothing. She turned around and glanced at me, with a slight smile that made me shudder. It was my face, but I had never had such an expression before. Confident, unrestrained, and full of hostility. From that day on, the world began to tilt. She went to school to replace me. But she's not me. She's no longer silent, no longer evasive. Faced with Mark's ridicule, she actually fought back directly, staring into his eyes and sneering, like a cat playing with a mouse to silence him. No one has ever seen me like this. They were all stunned. Even for a moment, Sean was stunned when he saw me. After she returned home, she didn't idle. She carefully arranged a scene where her mother and father's lover met. Her mother cried like a child, while her father looked embarrassed. However, she sat calmly on the side, as if watching a play. I shouted behind the mirror, "Enough! Don't harm them anymore." But she just lowered her head and whispered, "This is not called harm, this is justice. She wants to punish everyone who has hurt me." She framed Mark and caused him to break his leg on the stairs. She took the initiative to invite Lily to practice ice skating. This time, she deliberately created an accident. Lily fell and hit her head on the ice and died on the spot. I broke down. I screamed, roared, and cried through the mirror, wanting to come back. But Aram ignored me at all. She sank deeper and deeper, like a beast finally released from its cage. Later, she and Sean got closer and closer. He no longer found her weird, but was attracted by her boldness and charm. She took him to a motel, drank, smoked, and completely trampled everything I had carefully guarded into ashes. But everything collapsed after a phone call. The police came to the door. It turned out that Lily's death had sparked an investigation. Sean wanted to take her to the police station. She didn't want to go, and he insisted on pulling her. She lost control. A bottle of wine fell on his head. At that moment, she didn't want to kill him, but he died. She knelt on the ground, trembling all over. I also collapsed in the mirror. Between us, separated by glass, two pairs of identical eyes, but with different pains written on them. Mom started to dream repeatedly. She dreamed that she gave birth to twins, one alive and one dead. She dreamed of blood, surgical knives, and her father's cold face. Finally, all the truth has come to light. I once had a twin sister, Aram. She was born with a deformed body. Her father thought she was a stain and cut off her life after birth. Her mother never truly forgave him, nor did she let go of that child. As for Aram, she didn't really die. She somehow lived inside me, growing up like a shadow. She went to her father's clinic and asked him in person, "If I were ugly, would you still want me?" He remained silent for a long time and finally whispered, "No." She killed him. At that moment, She finally succeeded in revenge, but I can no longer sense her. She seems to have cut off the last bit of connection between herself and me. I was trapped in the mirror while she returned to our shattered home. She hugged her mother and whispered, "We're still here." I don't know if we still have a future. I just looked at the face that used to belong to me in the mirror and wondered, is she really me? Or have we already become two souls, competing for the same world? I may never find the answer to this question,